Sully, it is a Sunday. We are officially a week behind. I'm not paying you to dick around, so run the video. The fact that I'm not actually paying you is irrelevant, Sully. It's a metaphor. Run the video. Alright, you beautiful damn people, you. Today I'm going to learn you how to crit on all of your criticals, and by that I mean overly excessive hammer strikes. Lots and lots of hammer strikes. Also, don't forget to blame Sully for the delay on this video. It should have been done days ago. Fuck you, Sully. I take that back, please don't leave me. Moving on, we start with skill trees, specifically top tree Sunbreaker. We have 4 abilities, but as always, only one that actually matters. Hammer Strike lets you use a huge ass hammer while sprinting that debuffs enemies hit by it. Sweet. This is important because it significantly weakens the target you just hit by proccing an ability called Melting Point. And saying that it melts would not only be punny, but also accurate. So, it melts. To make all this work the way that we want it to, we need a few mods. First, you'll need Heavy-Handed. Charges of Light restore half of your melee energy when you use a charged melee attack. It's necessary, so make sure you have it and don't try to half-ass it. Make sure that you have a single stack of Charged Up as well, because it'll increase the number of max charges by 1. That effect can be increased, but I didn't have the armor necessary to do so, so this is more of a baseline than it is a recommendation. Next, we'll need Quick Charge, though its secondary ability is not necessary. Quick Charge gives you charges of light while getting successive kills with shotguns or fusion rifles. It costs a bit more than taking charge, but it builds up charges significantly faster and easier. The last mod that you'll need is Solar Plexus. This buffs your solar melee attacks by at least 15%, so you can effectively smash some dicks in the dirt. Exceptionally handy, absolutely essential to the shoulder charge spam that is Season 9. Guns are exceptionally easy for this one. Any shotgun with 1-2 punch and a pulse rifle of your choice, simply for champions in any sort of instanced activity. I'm using one small step in my kinetic slot and an infinite paths 8 in my energy slot, but what you take is your choice. That's on you, boo. So now, we talk about armor, and for this build we're using the Mk.44 Stand Asides, and there's a reason. This exotic restores half of your melee energy on successful hammer strikes, and that also stacks on top of Heavy-Handed too. Basically, if you can maintain your charges by balancing ad crowns and boss damage, you can hammer strike seemingly endlessly. But you didn't come here to listen to me go on and on and on about it. You want to see the action, so let's take a look, shall we? This is a melee build to the core, so as a result, everything revolves around the hammer strike. But instead of using the Monte Carlo to generate melee energy, we're using Heavy-Handed and Quick Charge to do the exact same thing. By using this mod combination, we free up weapon restrictions, and we don't have to worry about using something like Monte Carlo or crank our strength stat all the way through the damn roof. In doing so, we have an extra slot for a weapon that can be used against something like champions in a PvE instance activity, which gives this whole thing significantly more credibility. The entire strategy is exceptionally easy. You build up as many charges as you can, and then you hammer strike whatever target you choose. When you have a charge of light active and you use a hammer strike, Heavy-Handed will activate, and you'll immediately get half of your melee energy back, and at the same time, the Stand Asides will also proc, and it will restore the remaining melee energy, and then it will immediately come off of cooldown. Then you can hammer strike, and Melting Point will proc. Then you can circle around and hammer strike again, this time dealing extra critical damage from the Melting Point modifier. This is exceedingly useful for keeping a damage debuff on whatever you think deserves to die an exceptionally more terrible death than something else. So if something really needs to die, 37 individual shoulder charges should work, and if it doesn't, there may be a teeny tiny problem. Also, let's not forget about 1-2 punch. If you don't have a hammer strike ready, it is a sufficient way to keep the damage flowing outward instead of inward. You gain an overshield while sprinting towards your target if you're at full health once Hammer Strike procs. The extra damage cushion makes it a lot easier to move in the middle of mob crowds while you pick out the one guy that needs to die more than the rest, but it doesn't take much to break said overshield, so be smart about what you're trying to do here. As long as you have a brain and it functions, this should not be difficult to master. Now, if you're really good, and just so we're clear, I'm not, and I could never quite get it to work more than once, you can actually slide into your target mid-sprint, blast it with your shotgun to proc 1-2 punch, and then hammer strike, which deals ridiculous damage. It's exceptionally difficult to pull off, but you will straight wreck everything in your path if you can figure it out, which is awesome. Lastly, keep in mind that sometimes a shoulder charge just isn't really an option. You might be low on health, it may be too crowded to get where you want to go without dying, so on and so forth. As I said beforehand, that's where 1-2 punch comes in, for moments when you're crowded and you can't move. If that first shotgun shell doesn't kill whatever is unlucky enough to be right in front of you, a fist to the teeth right after that should do the trick. All in all, these abilities have been put together in such a way that makes them synchronize with each other, all of them benefiting the others in one way or another. If I do say so myself, this works. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope maybe I was able to learn all of you something today. Don't forget that I also put out Destiny 2 videos on a weekly basis while simultaneously broadcasting to Twitch. As always, I'll see all of you later, you beautiful damn people, you. Jayboy out.